Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. We're running late today, as you can tell. We're running late today because I don't know what to say, to be honest. My inbox is full of people asking me to talk about a specific case. The thing is, I don't know that I have anything of value to add to that conversation. I really don't. That conversation's taking place. People are talking about it. And I don't know that I have anything beneficial to add. You know, I always try to be very careful with my words. I didn't get into this to feed into providing people with their 2 minutes of hate. So rather than talk about that verdict, rather than talk about that case, I want to talk about a different case. I want to talk about the case of Cameron Lamb. You might remember that name. It was a name that was chanted during the unrest, And if you don't remember what happened, he got into an argument with his girlfriend in 2019. And it was a bad one. By all accounts, it was a bad one. She's moving out. She leaves, moves some stuff to a relative's place, comes back to pick up some other stuff he had left by the curb. And they get into a screaming match out there by the road in the driveway. He throws lug nuts at her car. And she leaves. And he decides to get in the car and follow her. Now, up to this point, nobody's called the cops. Nobody has called the cops. And he starts to kind of chase after her. His roommate calls. It's like, yeah, you need to get back here. And he does. He goes home. But during that short period where he's chasing after her, a cop sees it and calls it in. And a helicopter guides two plainclothes officers to his house where he is parking his vehicle. One of them is named DeValcanair. According to reporting, it took 9 seconds for DeValcanair to arrive and to shoot Lamb and kill him. He's brought up on charges, and the prosecution, they make the case. They're like, there's no call to the cops. They have no reason to be there. They didn't identify themselves. They have no reason to be in the backyard. They don't have a warrant. They don't even have what they would need to get a warrant. They didn't ask for permission to be in the backyard. Lays it out. Sets it up. Fourth Amendment violation. Right? They go on to cast doubt on the officer's story with a voicemail that was recorded. They also suggest that officers may have staged the scene and moved a firearm to make it appear as though Lamb was armed when he wasn't. They also suggested that cops may have planted evidence because things were found on Lamb after he was moved from the scene that weren't there on scene. Now, DeValcanair decided to waive his right to a jury trial, asked for a judge to decide. That is common for law enforcement. It's a common move for cops to do when they're on trial because they believe judges will be more favorable to them. I mean, they would say it as they believe the judge has a better understanding of the law, something like that. The judge found him guilty. Involuntary man and armed criminal action. Now, if I understand the law correctly there, the armed criminal action carries a minimum mandatory of 3 years to be served consecutively. So on top of whatever he's sentenced to for the involuntary man, the judge really, it seemed to hinge on the Fourth Amendment issue, on the fact that they shouldn't have even been there. So it didn't matter what else occurred. Never should have been in the backyard. That verdict came down today. Those people who are trying to make the world a better place, they have a habit of looking for problems, which they have to do. Don't get me wrong. You can't fix it if you don't know what's broken, right? It's important to make sure that you take a moment to acknowledge what is probably a win. If you don't, and you just focus on things that are broke, you'll burn out. And you can't do that because there's a whole lot of people counting on you to make the world a better place. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good night.